Look, I understand. You want the game to be about adjustments. You want it to be about skill. I get it. And it used to be. It's just not anymore with the type of equipment that's being used. And I'm going to explain why you're wrong. I know you think, well, if there's 5 purple hammers on the rack, you should just throw 1, 2. That doesn't solve the problem. There is no adjustment when the lanes get broken down the way I'm about to show you. It's not possible. This is a super flat pattern, right? Oil all the way across. Now we understand most sport patterns, most PBA patterns, they're not like this. Usually there's a little bit of taper to them, so they're not completely flat. But this gives you a representation of what the lanes feel like when you first start. You're first starting the event, they feel like there's hang to the right, and it just they're flat. They hook in the middle. That's it. You miss in, it's gone. You miss out, it's gone. Like, you've got no chance to try and control the pocket. You've got to split boards, right? So the only way to really control the pocket is to keep the ball more in front of you and to use a super controllable ball. Urethane. So what a lot of guys want to do is they want to play straighter, but with these new urethane bowling balls the way they are, they're just so much stronger. They are so much earlier than most of the urethane balls, or most any urethane ball that's ever came out on the market before. So you want to play straighter, you want to go up the outside over here and be able to create the best angle. A lot of times you can't. So you end up having to play closer to the middle of the lane. A lot of guys are setting the ball down around 20, between 18, 19, and 20, and they're crossing the arrows, somewhere around that 12, 13, 14 range, and they're not getting it out past 8, 9, 10 on some of these flatter patterns like this. So you have guys throwing bowling balls, and you'll have guys in warm-ups that just throw bowling balls straighter. They'll use reactive and straighter, and they'll just start tearing up the lanes in the front all the way through this area. So now there's no oil there. But then at the same time, you've also got oil tracking all the way through here throughout the first couple of games. And so now it's basically like there's oil there, right? So now what do? You can't throw it over here. Like, this is out of bounds. It's dead. Your ball's going to hit this part of the pocket or that part of the head pin every time, or that part of the pins every time. You're going to hit the 6 pin in the face. So you can't go around it, and you can't go inside of it because all of the oil's in front of the head pin. So what are you going to do? You're going to line up to go Brooklyn? You can't. So you're forced to play with what they call the muddy part of the lane, right? And they say, well, you just got to learn to control that. Okay, cool. So you get your ball to hook here before it, but then it hits here and starts skidding. Now your ball hits the pocket and deflects. Now what? What are you going to do? Now, I agree with you. There is a move to get to the pocket. There's always an adjustment to get to the pocket. But getting to the pocket does not get you keeping up with the scoring pace. So you think you can just shut your angles down and everything. So you can play, let's say you can play right through here, and you can just shut it down right in there, right? Right through here, right to the edge of all of that garbage that's in front of the head pin. Cool. But if you're a 400 rev rate, your ball's not going through the pins. You're creating zero entry angle, and you have to be pretty much spot on to be able to hit that little tiny zone that you're trying to hit and still score. So you have to literally bowl a perfect game just to score 240, which is just to be on pace with the rest of the field. Do you think throughout all the games of bowling in a PBA event or a big sports shot tournament, whatever it may be, where the bowlers are scoring 240 plus, do you really think you can bowl that many games and throw that many perfect shots? The best, most accurate players in the world can't do it. So why is this a disadvantage to the rev rate, the lower rev rate guys, but an advantage for the high rev rate guys? Because the high rev rate guys don't have to play this shallow angle. They can still get the ball anywhere in here that will hit the pocket, and their rev rate and their ball speed gets the pins flying. They're still creating so much reaction through that garbage that they still strike enough to create that 240 plus pace. And sure, you'll get some guys that will squeak into these cuts, and they'll find ways to get in there every once in a while. It happens. Frankie still makes cuts. Andrew Anderson still wins tournaments. Like, it's not like it's dead impossible. And I know you're going to say, well, then just do what they do. Oh, okay, sure. Most of these guys have a little trick. They have something. And bowling's not a sport yet to where we are tracking like their numbers. We don't know what their axis tilts are. We don't know what their true rev rate is. We don't know what their rotations are. We don't know what their, any of the numbers we would need to know to try to mimic in those moments. So you can go watch videos of Andrew Anderson's ball roll because his seems to be matching up okay and doing just fine out there right now. But he's also not a lower rev rate guy necessarily. He's 450 plus, so he's on the edge of, he could be a lot more competitive if he had an extra 50 RPM. And this isn't to say that these two-handers or high rev rate guys are just throwing it all over the place. They're not accurate. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. They are accurate. They do know where the ball's going, and they can manipulate the ball. And you're giving them this much room because all this is for them is just hold. And sure, it's hold for us too because we can get the ball to the pocket from this area, but we don't have the rev rate, the power, and the speed to get the ball to go through the pins and carry the strikes as often as they do. So now we take away the urethane, right? And we get rid of all of this. Now this isn't the issue anymore, but we still have the issue of all of this getting burned up. And the big complaint that people have is, well, now this gets so burned up because everybody's moving left so fast that now they're throwing it over the gutter and they're going this way. Well, now the big high rev rate guys have, that big of an advantage again. Yes, but it's not that huge of an advantage like it is when there's oil in front of the head pin. And generally it's only for a game, maybe two. And now they're actually bowling on shorter formats to where it's only 5-game blocks. You're not getting that far left that fast. And in some of these situations, there are case points where guys like Nathan Bohr, who is a lower rev rate guy, can find ways to trick it here up the outside away from all of the burn and still get his ball to go through the pins. The difference here now is he doesn't have to deal with all of the urethane trash that's going on right there that there was when all the urethane was used. So at the USBC Masters, at the US Open and stuff, that's why you see an array of players actually making the cuts and actually making the shows and having successes because you don't see nearly as much urethane going down the lane, so you don't see that giant puddle in front of the head pin. So guys are able to use their tricks and manipulate ball motion from all different parts of the lane, which I think is the way the bowling world should be. The big complaint that you even hear it from a lot of the guys who are having success out there, they're making shows and they're winning sometimes. Like the biggest complaint you hear is the PBA patterns all play too much the same. And sure, on paper they look different. They feel different from the very beginning, but after a game, they all break down in the exact same way. And it's specifically because of the bowling balls chosen, the way the lanes are broken down. And when they start with urethane on 95% of the patterns, the lanes are going to get broken down in that specific way every single time. So no, it's not just an adjustment. It's just not possible to adjust like that, like you think it is. I wish it was. I really do. For the longest time, I had the same mindset. I just need to figure out how to do this. I just need more axis tilt. I just need to figure out this. I've done all those things. Many people have done all those things, and you just can't keep up out there when the lanes get that way. And that's the other big factor that we're not talking about too much is, people want to talk about how reactive changes the lanes, and sure it does. It does burn the lanes up in the front. It doesn't carry oil down as much as what urethane does. Not nearly as much. But urethane changes the lanes that much faster. You have, 4 or 5 guys on a pair all throwing urethane. That pair is destroyed in just one game. Reactive doesn't do that. Sure, it might force you to go a little bit further left, but it doesn't destroy the actual pattern unless you're purposely doing it with a bunch of surface and everything else and you're playing the lanes wrong. That generally doesn't happen. So the problem is the quickness that those low flaring urethane balls change the lanes and how they change the lanes. Again, I'm not complaining. I'm just explaining.